Hello and welcome to another Front Porch Conversation here at Advent Christian Village. We have a beautiful fall morning and a great conversation coming up. We're going to be speaking with Jay and Sandra Drescher. Thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure.
Would you share with our viewers where you live?
We live on River Birch Lane in the corner of River Birch and Wildwood. 23309 River Birch.
Just to be specific.
Right.
Well, thank you. And this is in Riverwood. So we have had a number of conversations with different people throughout the community, and I'm looking forward to it this morning. How about sharing with us where you were born and where you grew up?
I was born in Cook County Hospital in Chicago on February 1st, 1938. Lived there till the beginning of the Second World War, and then I lived in northeastern United States for the next several years, out of the back of a car.
There was a lot of moving during that time.
I think there was 9 or 13 different cities we lived in during the Second War and afterwards.
Sandra, what about you? Where were you born?
I was born in Rome, Georgia. I'm a George Peach, but I did most of my life in Palm Beach County, Florida, and went through the whole school system in Florida.
And I understand you even went to college in Florida.
Yes,
where was that?
Did that to Florida State.
So we have in common that we're both home economics graduates.
Right.
And neither one of us do that anymore.
No.
What about you, Jay? After you were moving around, and how did you and Sandra meet?
Well, I'd let her tell the story because she's the one that started it.
Okay. And how did you start that?
Well,
Because
it's a kind of an involved story, but we I had just graduated from high school in June, and I guess probably it was the next Sunday there was a new fella at church, and so we did all of our early courting with the Methodist Youth Fellowship and going fun places, having a fun summer before starting into college. And we had a love at first sight, and we just kept going, and had a lot of bumps along the way as he joined the service and got invited by Uncle Sam to spend some time going around the world. But we finally got together, got our dates together, and were married in September of '61, and we've been together ever since. We just celebrated our 59th anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
now the true story.
I always think there's a difference when the couple tells the story.
I had my own car, and I was invited to NYF, and I went. We were going bowling in West Palm Beach that next Saturday. I told them I could take 5 people with them. So I got the car ready to start driving with 5 people, and I looked in the rear view mirror, and this lady was sitting back there in the back seat in the middle. Then she finagled her way onto my bowling team, and on the way home she sat in the front seat in the middle, and we never looked back. I never proposed to her. We knew that summer that we were going to get married someday.
And after that summer, how long was it?
3.5 years later, after Uncle Sam sent me to Korea on an extended tour, I finally came home on September 15th, and we got married September 30th and headed to Fort Bliss, Texas for my next assignment.
What are some of your fond memories for each of you of growing up? Anything particularly you like to do as a young person or as a child?
I can't think of anything. Just typical small town girl.
And that's a good thing to be in my book.
Yes.
I think mine was getting my first bicycle, which my father made me buy myself, and I was in the 4th grade. I remember going to Pep Boys in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and putting the money out of my pocket onto the counter and got Dad to take my bicycle home.
And I bet you spent a lot of time on it.
We wore that sucker out. And the other one would be when we lived in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, I went to 1st grade in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, and August came and BE Day came, and we were still in Pennsylvania. My father was already moved to Newark, New Jersey on another assignment. And I can remember going down the Lidditz Springs Park, which is almost downtown, and listening to the old men with their brass instruments and playing all kinds of patriotic music. And now I hate to say it, I is one.
And do you play music?
No, I don't. I can't even carry it in a bucket.
What else did Uncle Sam have you do?
Well, I spent 10 years on active duty. I came up through the ranks, got a commission. I got terms of use passed over, and I happened to have a mentor which helped a lot, and he worked for a 2-star officer. And they wanted to know why I didn't get promoted to field grade, and the answer was because he doesn't have any education except high school, and we're not going to promote to field grade. So I separated from active duty, went into the reserves, and spent 20 years in the reserves, and retired from the combined 30 years, 1990-something, I forgot just when. Went on and got my education in ocean engineering.
Where did you do that?
Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. It was the only undergraduate ocean engineering program in the United States at that time. Got hired at Jacksonville Port Authority as an engineer in the Marine Division. Went and got my MBA from University of North Florida. Got a promotion to Director of Airport Engineering, and the rest is history.
And how long did you stay with the Port Authority in Jacksonville?
I was there about 9 years, I guess, and I had an offer. There's an old naval station up in Brunswick, Georgia called Glencoe Naval Air Station, and that was closed in the late 70s, middle 70s, somewhere in there. And I was invited to be, or hired to be, the managing director of the Glenn County Airport Commission. Stayed there for about 8 years and converted the airfield side and a lot of the land into industrial park and airframe maintenance facilities or rehab facilities. So one of the companies that's on the field is Gulfstream, which makes corporate jets up in Savannah, and they are finished at Glencoe Airport when they're sold and decorated inside like the new owner wants it. And then also have a company up there that rehabs large planes, not corporate type, but passenger type freight planes. And last time I checked, they had about 400 people working on the airfield between the two businesses. And we have a small airline that commutes from Brunswick to Atlanta going up there.
Oh, really?
So I was quite proud of the conversions I made, because we filled the industrial park up with small businesses.
When when we talked before this, you said you had it would take a whole conversation or more to tell about all your careers. What was your next career?
Well, from there, I was in Brunswick for several years. We bought some property up in northeast Georgia, Raven County. Most people probably know it as Dillard area. And bought 10 acres back when it was nice and cheap, and side of a mountain. And we used to go up there about every weekend and work on the property. And someday we were going to retire there. And I got involved with a group, including a bank president, who was trying to build a small general aviation runway there in Raven County. And they were picking my brain for what they needed to do to get started. And the bank president, C.B. Fair, asked me one day, he said, "When are you going to move up here?" And I said, "When you find me a job." About a year later, he called me and said, "I just took possession of a small clothing store. Are you interested in buying it?" I said, "Well, send me the financials on it." We talked about it, and we went up there one weekend, walked in the store. It was a little store about maybe 1,000 feet or so, square feet. Decided we'd give it a whirl. My MBA didn't work. It was tough luck, I guess. Long story short, we had that for 15 years. My father's family, including his father and some of his brothers, including him, all died young from cancer. And I made up my mind I was going to retire at 62. So January 18th of 2000, I retired, locked the door, and said, "Let's go to Florida." And so I started my fourth career, I guess, third career. We had family land down here, and we took possession of it, and I planted a pine plantation north of I-10 and got involved in mission work for the next 21 years, and we have been very blessed by the Lord in what we've been able to do and to be able to serve other people. That's my fourth career, really. Is we've spent 21 years off and on in the mission field around the United States.
And that was with Sandra.
With Sandra.
Very important part of your
Except
team.
when she took care of her mother. Her mother lived in the farmhouse with us for about 5 years. And then I did the trips by myself, but I only made one trip a year instead of multiple trips.
And that's what got you to Suwannee County. Is that right?
The farm got us to Suwannee
That's what I meant.
Yeah. And the land had been bought before I-10 was put in here. So the farm was cut diagonally. We lost quite a bit of land on the farm.
Sandra, what did you enjoy about the times that you were doing the mission work and traveling?
Well, for the mission work, it's just the seeing how grateful these folks can be, and that there is a lot of need right here in our own backyard, and it's very gratifying. We got many blessings out of it. Not that that was the reason we did it, but as a side effect, we received many blessings and met some outstanding people and established friendships in many different places, and wouldn't trade the experiences for the world.
My favorite verse to reinforce what she just said, you find in James chapter 2, book 17, "Faith without works is dead." And we have tried to practice our faith all over the United States.
And what would some of those trips be as far as what your mission was when you went?
Well, in Kentucky, I ran construction crew for with college students first for 4 weeks, and then high school for 2 weeks. And we refurbished houses, rebuilt houses. I built 2 new houses up there, or supervised the building of 2 new houses. Had a great time teaching young people how to use power tools. And
use them safely?
Huh?
And use them safely?
Yes. And I always said the girls learned more than the boys did because their ego didn't get in their way. Just to watch some of those girls use a skill saw and hear them talking to their daddy or mommy that night in the dining room and saying, "I got them on a skill saw today." It's just, you change young people's lives and when you have the opportunity. And you change lives. The other one of the ones that I remember most is that I noticed that I was working on an old trailer that's a single mother, one of 13 children, 15 children, one of number 8 out of 15. She was 32 years old on her second pacemaker. Had 2 grade school children, and they were walking home from school, which I knew where the school was, and it was about 5 miles away. And I asked her one day why they were walking home, and the bus had already gone by. And she told me eventually that they were embarrassed about their house. Well, the next week, I changed my schedule of what I was going to do, and by the second week, the front of the trailer looked like a brand new trailer. The end of the trailer that was you could see from the road looked like a brand new trailer. And that Monday, when they got off the bus, I knew I had changed their lives. They were proud of their house. It looked like a brand new trailer had been moved in there.
Wow.
And the young lady went on to be a CNA. She went and got her certificate or license, whatever it's appropriate. And the young boy went on to college and turned out to be successful. And their mother is now on their 4th pacemaker.
Wow.
Of course, she's in her 50s now, but her daddy was the only one that had heart trouble out of 15 children. It was just her and her daddy. But I have never forgotten them, and I share that story because we don't know how deep or how much we can change a person's life just by changing what they live in.
And gives them a new sense of purpose and dignity.
Of pride.
And know that people will help them.
Yep, know people will help them, yep.
Now, I believe some of the work you've done is through hurricane and other natural disasters.
Yeah, a gentleman by the name of Toby Brock. I met him in Pensacola after Katrina. We were members of First Baptist in downtown Live Oak, as he was. I didn't know him, he didn't know me. And we were talking after supper one night. Somebody asked him where he was from, and he said First Baptist. Well, that threw me for a loop. Long story short, Dr. Fritz Fountain was our association director at the time, and Toby and I went and told him we wanted to start a cleanup and recovery disaster crew for Suwannee County. And he got the board to approve it, and they helped fund it. And we now have our own disaster relief crew from Suwannee County.
And tell our viewers what that means.
That means we get to put the chainsaw to work from the ground up or from the roof down, whatever. Tear out flooded houses, take all the drywall down that needs to come down, tear up carpet, whatever. Get the house ready to dry out. We also treat for mold and get the house where it can dry out and people can start rebuilding putting their home back together again. And the crew has been all the way from New York to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma for a tornado. We have traveled many miles.
Wow. And have you made trips this year?
Made one trip for our anniversary back to Rabun County. And we pull our fifth wheel behind us. We live in our fifth wheel quite a bit. I've spent, 2000, when Michael came ashore, we spent more time in our fifth wheel in disaster relief than we spent in the house. So we live in our fifth wheel. In fact, we were talking about it. That's the first time that we can remember of just camping, was going up to Rabun County and not have any work to do and just enjoy.
That was a vacation, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a vacation. But
all your other trips have been with a different purpose.
Well, all of our other. Well, we did take a big trip. We spent 110 days on the road in summer of 2014. Started from our home in Georgia, went all the way to the West Coast, down the West Coast, zigzagged back and forth going west, and zigzagged back and forth coming east, and spent 110 days on the road and loved every bit of it.
Did you make every state? Did you?
No, we did not. I'd still be on the road trying to make every state. We had over 10,000 miles. And it was a trip of a lifetime. We still have a dream of another trip up the upper east coast of Florida, or of United States, and then into Canada, over in the Maritime Islands. But that's got to wait till Canada opens up and coronavirus gets itself disposed of.
And we all pray that that'll happen soon.
That'll happen, yeah. But we have been very blessed by the Lord, and He has. 20 years that we've been retired has been probably the best 20 years of our life. We have enjoyed almost every minute. There's probably a few that we didn't, like when I blew tires on Easter Sunday one year, twice in two, one in one day and one in the next day, opposite sides of my fifth wheel.
Tell our viewers when you moved to the village and what made you think about moving here.
Well, we bought the house we looked at the house first in February that we're in. We liked it. It was the only house she wanted. And I wasn't in a position to put a binder on it at that time. And we went off to Kentucky, and Karen called me and said it's off the market. And I said, well, the Lord doesn't want us to have it. And I came back from Kentucky, and Karen says it's on the market again. And we discussed what transpired between the people, and there was an offer and then a counter offer by the daughter of the woman that owned the house. And I told Karen, when she told me what the daughter's counter offer was, I said, I'll be there in the morning with a check. Don't let anybody in the house. And so we got the house, and we closed on that in July of 18, and as you know, Michael came in October of 18, and we got the furniture in the house, and that's as far as we got. We brought it all down from Georgia and out at the farmhouse that we wanted. And then we were on the road for the next 6 months, 5.5 months, first in Tallahassee, and then we moved to Pensacola. And I was incident commander for both of them.
And Panama City.
I mean, Panama City, not Pensacola. That's right, Panama City. And I was incident commander for the Florida Baptist Convention over there for about 5 months, and getting the work done. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
What made you look at the village as a place to live?
Well, you may remember there was a flood in Madison County and Hamilton County in 2009, and we had a little flood here in Suwannee County in 2012. I was incident commander for both of those part of the time, and when we were flooded in Suwannee County, one of my places I went and checked on regularly was Advent Christian Village. And I can remember a bunch of tractor-trailers sitting out there in I think it was off of Dowling Park Road, or whatever they call it. And that got us interested. And then when Sandra started to get dementia, we decided we needed to go there.
And as I recall, those trailers were full of people's belongings, the homes we had to evacuate.
I don't know what was in them, but I was checking it. And it's interesting because right across somewhere over here, up north a little further, there was a house over there that was flooded 8 feet deep on the Lafayette County side.
Wow.
And we didn't have any water that I saw in the village. You know, roads were wide open and dry.
Well, during the flood, the village, all the people who lived where Taylor Commons is now, and Lawrence House, those homes were evacuated, and all their furniture was
loaded.
Uh-huh.
See, I didn't know what was going on.
Yep.
I just knew that people were being taken care of, and that was what I was trying to keep track of.
Jay, you said you have a story you want to tell me.
I was director of airport engineering at Jacksonville Port Authority for a number of years. One of my projects was rebuilding runway 1331, which had been crushed. The concrete had been crushed. And I had read an article in Engineering News Record that the Illinois Department of Transportation was recycling concrete on their beltway on the south side. Well, when you got a runway that's 8,000 feet long and 150 feet wide, that's a lot of concrete to dispose of because it's about 13 inches thick. So I talked to my boss, and I said, I'd like to try a recycling project. And he said, go for it. And Jacksonville International Airport is the first airport in the United States that recycled the concrete and put it back in the ground. And last time I checked it, it had been 35 years, and there was one small piece about 3 by 3 in the corner of a 25 by 20 foot slab, and the only repair on it.
That is quite a story to share.
Needless to say, I was quite proud of it because I was in national magazines as well as regional magazines, and also got to speak to the National Transportation Research Board, and that's an interesting story. My brother, who was with the Texas Transportation Institute and has a PhD in engineering, he was sitting in the audience. I didn't even know he was there. I happened to look out, and there's my kid brother. And I'm just a dumb old engineer practicing out in the field and telling them how to recycle concrete and make it work. And another interesting story, when we moved from Jacksonville to Brunswick, we had somebody call us. I advertised in the Jacksonville newspaper, Times-Union. I had one call Friday night, and then later Friday night I had another call with 2 brothers. They said, we'll be there in the morning to look at your house. They bought it. We loaded up and moved in a week. And when we moved into our new house in Brunswick, I picked up the garbage can, and the garbage was still in there, and it had been in storage for 6 months.
Oh, my word. That was probably not a pleasant encounter, but it's been a very pleasant encounter sitting here with the 2 of you today and having our conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate the invitation.
And thank you for tuning in today. And tune in again for future episodes of Front Porch Conversations.